kiss you like a little kid. I faked it every time. That's alright. It's hard to be anything, if anything, and anything at all. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
It's Gabriel.
It's Bailey.
And this is CYMK.
Okay, so welcome CYMK Potters, CYMK Podcasters. Today we're here to talk about, if you can't tell, Western art. And do you want to talk about why we're talking about Western art?
I certainly do.
I like the way you're kind of saying like a cowboy too. Like,
Am I
you
saying
kinda,
like a cowboy?
Yeah. I'm like the lady cowboy.
And I'm the man cowboy.
I'm the lady cowboy and she's the boy cowboy.
You can tell by my beard.
Yeah, I can.
So we're talking about, we're actually going to be talking about an upcoming exhibit that's opening on July 20th. It's called The Peacemakers. It will feature artworks by husband and wife artist duo Felice House and Dana Younger.
If you haven't seen their work, I would suggest checking it out. I wasn't cultured enough to already know what it was until I had heard that they were going to have an exhibit here. And oh my goodness, I've become indulged in their work.
These are big names.
Really?
You Google either one and their names pop up immediately with pictures, their websites, the articles about their shows.
I was looking through I was researching a little bit, and I didn't see much on Dana Younger's stuff. But from what I've read about Felice House, I wish I was her.
I wish it was my mom.
Yeah,
no.
I wish she was my mentor and lead in life. That's all. Something small, not
beautiful
big at all.
stuff. Really beautiful paintings that she's going to have featured here in the Peacemakers exhibit. Hopefully, we'll get an interview. We'll snag a little interview with maybe one or two of them.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully two, because there's only two. One or two.
One or two.
And
or
if they
both.
bring a third, you're welcome.
Yeah.
To come talk to us.
Yeah.
The privilege. How privileged it would be. How much of a privilege it would be to talk to us.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so if you haven't seen their work, so here's why we're wearing Western hats. It's because their stuff is more Western. It's just Western paintings of like cowgirls or women doing the typical masculine Western thing. And then when that was more Felice House's stuff. And then if we talk more about Dana Younger's stuff, his stuff, well, when it comes to the Peacemakers, the title of their show, it's like he does sculpture. So it's sculptures of like guns and little pistols, but they're
floppy.
Yeah, they're floppy little pistols.
Floppy little pistols.
I have a reason as to why I think they are, but I don't know, so I don't want to assume.
We would love to ask.
Yeah, I'd love to ask. So I'm going to say that question, and if I get to ask him, then you'll get to know too.
Do you want me to read directly from some of their artist statements to see kind of how their verbiage is?
I would like for that.
Okay, let's check it out. All right, so talking about Felice House's work specifically, like even some of the paintings we'll see in the Peacemakers exhibit, she says, in the Western series, House projects contemporary women into heroic roles formerly played by Western movie icons such as John Wayne, James Dean, and Gary Cooper. By utilizing the gender flip, House points to the gendered nature of the hero in culture and begs the question, what if John Wayne was a woman?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
What if John Wayne was a woman? I don't know who John Wayne was, but if he was a woman, I'd know. I'm pretty sure if John Wayne was a woman, I would have learned about her in history books.
I would have at least known who she was if she was a woman.
I know John Wayne did Westerns.
Right.
Because my grandpa watched them.
And who is your grandpa? A man.
John Wayne. Oh. My grandpa was John Wayne.
But growing up in Texas my entire life and being surrounded by Western culture, I've never seen these heroic women in these roles.
And that's why I like that this husband and wife are coming to San Angelo, Texas, of all places, to display their work of, like how you said, more liberal ways of viewing Western culture to kind of open people's eyes about it.
It feels like a direct challenge for those ideals, and to come to a place in a small town, rural Texas is exciting. But yes, Felice...
Because those who will get it, will get it.
Those who get it, they get it. But Felice is from Massachusetts, and I believe she went to boarding school in Canada. So I am also really interested in learning about where her inspiration to do the Western culture challenge comes from. I think it's interesting.
So it wasn't even that long ago whenever the museum had an exhibit itself that was, I think, called Texas what was it, Texas art?
True Texas?
True Texan. We had a True Texan exhibit. And so
We've had 2 True Texas exhibits.
we have a lot of Texas exhibits, which is great. We're in Texas. I mean,
they're going to show. Well, and it's because it's what we're surrounded by, right? We are surrounded by these Texas artisans, which I don't think their artwork should be discredited or should be forgotten about by any
definitely
sake.
not.
But to have that other view of like, what if John Wayne was a woman and like the ideals of feminism, which I wanted to bring up the word feminism because
that naughty old word.
we've had complications with that word in the past. I don't know if you were around for our Inside Out exhibit about women's roles in society based on their dress at the time.
I don't remember. You want to tell me about that?
Yeah,
really
so
quick?
it was all about women. It was all about what women wear throughout the eras of fashion and how it really reflected their roles in society. And feminism was a word we used in our interpretation because it's relevant. And people here got upset and they were, because they think feminism is a dirty word. They think
I was
feminism
just talking
is bad.
about this earlier today because we were trying to get into more feminist literature, and then like all we can find is I don't need a man. That's all the feminist literature we can really find, and that's not what feminism is, or that's not all it is. It's just women not needing a man. And also feminism doesn't directly direct towards women as a whole. It is more than that. It's just an umbrella term for a sense of equality, and there are so many other things that come with it.
And just trying to undo those toxic traits.
It's just like, why can't everything just be a little bit equal when it comes
Yeah.
to genders? So this also kind of brings me to Felice's series narrative. I don't know if you saw it, but it was just her paintings and portraits of these women in just household everyday situations. There's one where a lady is doing laundry, and to me she seems a little bit tired. It looks like the laundry's gonna fall on her a little bit, and so like narrative,
It's
you
all
make the
piling
story.
up on you and you're super stressed and you can't get all to it at once. Yeah.
Or just like a woman, and the way that she paints them is so, I don't know if expressionistic would be the right word, but like there's so much expression in these women's faces.
so much life and like little
the colors
flakes of
that
color.
Felice uses is beautiful.
So beautiful. The brush strokes, like it's not hyper realistic, but it's also realistic. Yeah.
It's really gorgeous. And so for Dana Younger, for his sculptures, he uses more wood and paper for his sculptures, or at least from his 2019-2020 series, from what I saw. And I think that's really interesting because when I think of wood and paper, it's more of these natural materials that people use in their art. And so he creates human forms with them, or human bodies and imagery. And so to use the wood and the paper is really beautiful to me.
Yeah, and it really plays well to the Western themes that he has going on because wood and paper is just as Western as you can get. I don't know.
And tumbleweeds
and cactus, prickly pears.
So do you want to tell us about the Lone Ranger series? So this series, I'm like, Bailey, you tell me. But anyways, so this series I really thought was hilarious. Because it's like political, but also it's just political humor.
So this says, his work juxtaposes established Western conventions with real people and damage associated with Western expansion. Some might read these works as a comment on the decline of the Western genre as a central defining aspect of American culture. Others might see him as highlighting the contrast between the reality of Western assets and our glorified movie magic notion of those things. Possibly, they are a comment on the role of our contemporary society played in the sterilization and devaluing of real Western history. So he's really taking every other aspect of like those toxic traits shown in the movies with the Western, and he's relating to those other aspects that maybe he relates to more in his artwork, but it's still that same Western inspiration, which is cool.
His Lone Ranger series, they're the sculptures, like wall hangings, and it's the people from the past, and he has superhero masks on them. And so I just thought
Ranger
that was...
masks.
Oh, they're Ranger masks?
Yeah, like the Lone Ranger.
Oh, I'm dumb.
No, it's like a superhero. He's like a superhero. So yeah.
Okay, so that's where the superhero mask derived from, Lone Rangers.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah?
That's where the mask comes from.
It's just like, the masks over these iconic historical
figures. On the statement, it says, the use of recognizable imagery and traditional bas-relief allows the viewer access through familiarity and craft. Humor and political commentary ask the viewer to reconsider our version of American mythology. I love that term, American mythology, because it's truly become mythology. Any textbook you see from my elementary school growing up is
just whatever they want you to think.
Right. So like, we don't think about that. We literally listen to Hamilton and we're like, that actually happened. I mean, it could have, but
But that is all just like somebody's
really
interpretation.
Happened. Right. So, to have us even start questioning that in his artworks is such an important topic.
And yeah, just to be open-minded when viewing the art and be like, okay, I know it's also like humorous political commentary, but at the end of the day, I mean, you don't know that they were I don't know, just, you gotta think about it. You
I
gotta
like the dark humorous take on the political commentary, because that is the new generation's healing of trauma response. So to connect with them in that way is important, because you always want to connect to the youngest audience to keep them interested in the, your art and the new topic.
This is for our youngest audience.
Yeah.
Say hi.
What's his name?
Hi. Hi. He doesn't have a name. I got him a long time ago.
And never named him?
He doesn't like to be labeled, but he doesn't like to be tied down by strings.
Well, doggone it.
I think I would name him like Connor. Oh, I hate that name. Maybe like
Connor's out there. You're welcome.
I think I'd name him Jeffree Star. One
thing I did notice about every single like article written about them, or every single artist statement, or specifically on their website, each
keep talking, please.
Connor is distracting. No,
Connor's being bad, so I put him away. God.
Each like little blurb that they have describing their artwork also is accompanied by a John Wayne quote. So I don't think their artwork is any way hateful towards Western culture, movie mythology. I think they just want us to think more broadly.
Right. Oh, I wrote down a quote. Okay, so this is kind of in a joint collaboration. So Some You, Some Me, their series, or Felice's series, was a landscape of women, and then if you go into her drawings, she has paintings, she has drawings, and the drawings, it's the portrait of a woman, and then her hair, or some part of her body, or like above her shoulders, is turning into a landscape, or turning into forestry or nature. So her Some Me, Some You is spelled S-U-M, some, as in total, when adding things. I don't know if you knew that. It's a little play on words.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Some You, Some Me, play on words, is like adding you to me, you as in nature, you as in a person, whoever you decide, you as the viewer, listener, whoever you decide you is, adding it to you to become who you really are, and that you're always growing, and that everything from you is the past and everything before you is the present. And it was really beautiful. Reading that really changed my perspective on the series itself, because it already is a beautiful series, but then to have that inspiration behind it was really awesome.
Something really cool about that is I think she gets literal friends and neighbors to pose for her for those portraits.
Oh, really?
So they're real life people. Mm-hmm. It's not just stock photos, or I don't know people's process nowadays. It's okay if you use stock photos, but it's more intimate and personal that they're friends.
So what did you have about that series?
Yeah, she said, so Some You, Some Me depicts the heads and shoulders of women interrelating with the landscape. The resulting tension between the figure and the natural world creates a fertile interpretive space in which the viewer can project and reflect on his or her own sense of self, nature, and whole-ness. There's so much to unpack there, and I love it.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's like creates a fertile interpretive space.
I think...
What do you think that means?
I think that means, so whenever you think of the word fertile, it means like kind of breeding ground. Okay, that's not the right word.
A place where something grows.
Yes.
A place where thoughts and ideas can expand. Yeah.
It's a breeding ground for, it's getting hot here.
I think she wants you to say that like it's okay to come up with your own interpretation.
Yes.
Think about it and think on it. What does it mean to you?
A place to grow, yes, for interpreting your own thoughts on her work.
That's just beautiful.
Yes, it is. Let's talk a little bit more about Dana Peacemakers. So like they're little guns.
Pew!
That was so good.
We can cut that and use that as a sound effect later.
Okay, forever and always. You promise?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if like we just did it and my hat just like flew off my head? Like,
I love
somebody
that.
shot my hat.
We can do that. So they're little guns. Little. I don't know how big they are actually.
True.
When I was looking, but they're guns, and the tip of the gun or the barrel of the gun is like floppy down or like bleh,
Or like
melty.
melting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also like they're pink. Some of the guns are like blush to hot pink.
I almost used a picture of one of the Peacemaker guns as part of the invitation, but I went with the coyote instead.
Very masculine. I'm sorry.
Compared
So
to
what-
Felice's beautiful painting.
So you put the juxtaposition in there on purpose?
Also, I didn't want it to look like the gun was shooting the person.
Oh, good point. Because it is
invitation.
that's the portrait of the lady, and then there'd be a gun. So you don't need to be scared.
Let me ask you a question.
Go shoot.
You are now the heroine in a Western. Who are you? What Western?
John Wayne
In what?
in what's that one called? La La Land.
John Wayne in La La Land.
Yeah. So okay, what were you saying?
That was going to be my answer.
What's your
too.
question?
That was my question.
Oh,
Okay, if you were the heroine in a Western, what is the movie and who's the actor you're going to be? A man gets replaced by you. You're the lead role.
a man replaces me
You are a new
I replace a
iconic
man
figure. Exactly.
in a Western. I don't know Westerns. So this is what I was gonna ask Felice. Have you thought about Felice out there? Because you're listening. Love you, girl. No, okay, so Felice, if you're out there, I have a question. Have you thought about maybe like superheroes? Because I want to know your interpretation or Felice's interpretation of superheroes and how, I mean, Iron Man is very different. I want to know her interpretation and her paintings of like superhero figures. Because, I mean, growing up, it was all just men. And then the women were the overly cartoonic looking or
Always needed saving. Always were like, oh my gosh, help me.
like the superwoman powers weren't always as good or productive or
Right.
diligent as the men's.
Right.
So I want to know like her interpretation or her feeling of that, because with the Western, it's really, I don't know, it's nice to capture and it's really realistic, but I kind of wonder what's outside of that realism.
Right. I do like the superhero question. We should ask her if we see her, because that is a man wrote all of Marvel. So
Right.
he's obviously probably missed on a few of takes about women.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I completely agree.
Barbie movie or Oppenheimer?
Is that the choice today?
No.
Shoot.
No.
Can I do a double feature?
It comes out the day after this.
We're not doing free press for Barbie and Oppenheimer.
They already have enough press. So.
I'm going to look up a John Wayne fun fact for you.
Okay.
John Wayne's favorite game was chess.
Oh my God.
Oh my
You and everyone
God.
else, John Wayne.
John, do you even play chess, bro?
Editor, cut that out.
Editor, keep it in, please.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. No, I'm just kidding. He's cute. He's pretty cute.
Let me see.
This is some of the 1930s. To put a nice pin on this episode, the Peacemakers exhibit with artists Felice House and Dana Younger is going to be exhibited in Gallery Verde starting July 20th. You can check out info about that exhibit on our website, www.samfa.org. You can also find info about the artists that we talked about today in the description of this post or video. Was driving shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car. He had one hand on the steering wheel and the other on my heart. I looked around, turned the radio down, he said, baby, is something wrong? I said nothing, I was just thinking how we don't have a song. And then he said, our song is a slamming screen door, sneaking out late, tapping on your window when you're on the phone and you talk's real slow, 'cause it's late and your mama don't know.
Our song is the way. Say, man, I didn't.